Thank you. My name's Lazarus Omusula. Born again. I'm married to my wife, Lois Lutukai, and together we have 3 children, a daughter and 2 sons, aged from 11 to the last born is 4 years. My educational background, I did attend primary school in the village where I was born, somewhere in the western part of Kenya. Then I proceeded on to high school at Starehe Boys Center in Nairobi. And that's where I pursued a course in diploma in computers, ICT. Then I got into working career in ICT. But obviously somewhere along the line, that's when I lost my sight, and then I had to come back for now re-engineering, because when you actually change your ability, you become a person with a disability, you have again to come and be re-engineered. Well, my work, I'm a teacher. I train in a unique subject called adapted ICT, because having attained ICT training background, when I lost my sight, I came for rehab, and I discovered my skills were still intact on the inside of me. So I do train students, people who have recently lost sight, as well as sighted people who are interested in coming to pursue a transcriber's course. So every day I come over and I have lessons, but alongside the lessons, I'm also the ICT officer. I'm the one in charge of ICT at the institute. So from time to time, I will also I'm on call for, say, policy origination, repair works here and there, consultation on ICT issues. So basically that is how my working day is structured. Okay, very interesting, yeah. I was born sighted, and I went through, formal education just like a regular student would. I settled into working environment, but something like 10 or so, something like 10 or so years before I did lose my sight, I was having symptoms of problems with my sight. And as I kept living on, it kept going worse. And I had to rely, the later days, I had to rely on a guide of the services of a person holding my hand around. It eventually, my sight eventually gave in. And now I had to look for services on how to live life, because when I did lose my sight, it was a very scary thing. Nobody had ever prepared me for such a thing. And it was a strange world, and I was diving into a dark world. So as I was walking around, because part of the problem I did face was tracing information as to where to get what when such things happen. And surprisingly enough, even the medics do not know, the doctors, the nurses, the people who qualify you to be blind, they do not know where to go, where they will refer you to. But luckily, I stumbled on Kenya Institute for the Blind for rehabilitation. Of course, after having gotten lost to go to other places. So when I came for rehab, because rehabilitation is essentially, you are being re-engineered. You are being renovated to live in your new state. So I came over for rehabilitation, whereby now you are taught how to use Braille to read and write, and then you are taught how to use the white cane, because when you lose your sight, it's not just a matter of you're given a white cane and you walk, because what I'm holding in my hand, this is a white cane. So you are taught, you have to be taken through the lessons. And then I was taken through the adapted ICT. That I didn't have to be taught, they just oriented me through, and I was able to pick it. It was quite harassing. It to be honest. It was really tough because then I had just settled down into marriage, although I had actually shared this with my wife that I could lose my sight. But you know, when the reality struck in, it was really traumatizing because I still had to come to town to fend for my family. My wife is a housewife, or rather was a housewife even then, so they were looking up to me for provisions. So I had to come to town and trying to do the same business, and competing with other able-bodied human beings was not easy because I was going around doing my technical support work with somebody holding my hand. So when I would be called for, somebody says, come and service my computer. He sees, two gentlemen holding hands. I know it was strange because, after I started carrying my white cane is when some of my clients were telling me it is a very good thing, because the days we are living, they used to think, we are either trying to, maybe we are doing gayism, we are in whatever, we are communicating strange things. But them not knowing that it was my sight that was the problem. And like you come and somebody gives you a hand for a handshake and you can't stress the hand and the people feel offended. So some of them obviously throw some harsh words. So it was quite traumatizing. So, before somebody comes for rehab, like to a place like here, most of the time it's been like a battle, trying to live in denial, trying to pretend, trying to think that things are not what they are. So it was quite a harassing moment before actually I accepted that this is the reality and that this is what I have to do as the best option. Well, the reaction even up to that, tricky, but I thank God, she accepted things as they were, as they unfolded. Obviously, the first day I went home, it wasn't sometime when somebody loses sight, it's not until you have a white cane in your hand. You just say, I don't have sight, and if I don't have these, you just say, maybe I'm pretending, maybe I'm not serious. But the first day I walked home with a white cane, that's when the reality also dawned on her that, yeah, what this guy has been saying has come to be. And, listening through her mind, it was also very, it was traumatizing as well. It was, she actually had to struggle with that reality. I think we had our firstborn then. And she was like, it was not as easy to accept. But obviously with time now she's up to date. I know she's still struggling with acceptance, but we thank God that we are alive and that she looks at me and sees, she sees beyond the blindness. Movement is actually aided by the services of a white cane, and obviously the inner you, the inner person. Once you actually accept something and you motivate yourself towards achieving whatever you have to achieve, it will happen. Personally, I have found a lot of strength from God. I'm a born-again Christian, and obviously the motivation that it's only my sense, one of my senses that went, but I am still as functional as I would choose to be. So that's how I am able to make my way around, because the white cane will actually trace objects in the way, and then obviously also communicate to the other people that this person is not sighted, so give him space. Yeah, so that's how I'm able to make my way around. I start my day quite early. I'm an early riser. Essentially by 6:10 there, I'm out of my house to board. I normally I come by public means, jumbling between, I use a train and then on a matatu. So I leave the house because I wake up, sometimes I wake up before my people are awake. So the only good thing I do is My wife will prepare my wear in the evening. So in the morning I wake up, I do my laundry, prepare, step outside. When I come to the public, now it's a matter of, because, we live by faith and not by sight. That is when that scripture is now making more sense to my life. So when I step outside, you realize when your faith is high, you even, in fact, direct more people to come and join you in what you believe in. I'm personally reasonably warm. I hope I relate with the people well. I don't have a very, when you have appreciated the rehabilitation well, when you are properly rehabilitated, you actually break away those bitternesses, because a lot of our colleagues, sometimes what happens with us is we carry bitterness. The society sometimes marginalizes us, and in a reaction, we actually carry bitterness and anger. And that is where some of us are sometimes not approachable. And then after, when I meet my colleagues who are persons living with disabilities, I normally caution them. I tell them, don't hate anybody, because it's not anybody who's taken away your ability to be able to function as you were before. So being more or less a person who is well rehabilitated, I relate with my colleagues reasonably well. In fact, a lot of my friends see me beyond, visual impairment, because I see even a lot of the able-bodied people coming to, we associate like even as if I don't have any disability at all. So normally when I step outside, there are regulars that we use as we apply the same route. So the moment, maybe I would have 5-10 people going past me. But, within 10 people at least there would be somebody who knows me. Hi, how are you, Lazarus? Twende. And, somebody will hold my hand. They will, direct me to the train. But even if somebody doesn't show up, I have my map around the path. I will be able to get to the train. I will be able to board, because even now, because the moment we are in circulation, because sometimes the problem with our society is hiding some of us away from public participation. But the moment we are in circulation, we are seen every other day, you will realize the people will also, feel guilty. They start to make adjustments. So like the train, I'll always find, even if I'm late and I'm running, they'll make sure the train, it stops. I board before then it starts to move. The staff, they also are reasonably well. We are friends. Almost all of them know me. Lazarus, how are you? As I go past. When I get to town, there will be somebody at least to make sure he directs me to the matatu. From the matatu, when I'm in the matatu, the fare business as well, somebody coming to ask for fare. Most of the conductors, they now know, so they know how to ask for fare from us. And as we interact, because sometimes, people will ask, how do you know this is 50 bob? The only thing we do is, obviously for me, I operate by faith, and I don't normally battle with that. But how I operate is, I advise the public, whenever you're interacting with somebody like myself who can see, when you're giving us money, just tell us. Because the moment you give me, you tell me this is 50 bob, this is 200, this is what. If you tell me I'm giving you 700 shillings, most of the time I'll ask you, in what denominations? So you will tell me this is 200, 200, 200. So that way, my memory now is, when I pack the money, I know when I'll be spending. As I remove, I have a hint what not have removed from my pockets. So as I keep spending, I'll give you now. Sometime when I want to confirm, I'm not sure, I'll just ask. And normally when we ask, more or less, also making sure that the public can help us see, so that even if you are to be a conman, you get, you have that guilt. Yeah. So I'll ask, there are times I was in a matatu and had removed the money. I thought it was 100 shillings. So, and I was paying for my wife who was behind with our babies. So I removed the note and I asked the conductor, "Hii ni pesa ngapi?" And the conductor, I think he was a fellow who wanted to pinch the money. So he said, "Hii ni mia." And luckily enough, what I've learned, God has his angels around us. Interesting enough, the driver, through his side mirror, he had spotted, and he was very keen on my transactions. So the driver put the vehicle aside, and he was like, umemwambia ngapi? How much have you told him it is? So he felt guilty, and everybody was around there saying, tulikuwa tunangoja. If you would have just conned him, you will have faced our wrath. It's an interesting world because I also didn't know, even despite having studied computers, I didn't know that a person who is without sight can be able to operate a computer. We have an ordinary computer. There is something we call a screen reader, a software. It's a software that gets introduced onto a computer, and the software is able to convert the text, the print text, into speech. So that now from there, a person who is not sighted is able to pick what is on the screen. So there is that screen reader. Obviously the challenge is also now we need the graphics is still a challenge. A lot of the people who sometimes, like I said, who do websites do not understand that the screen reader has a way in which it operates. Screen reader can't describe an image or a picture, but print text, the screen reader is able to pick. So through the screen reader, I'm actually able to operate my computer. And then obviously you have to be very good on the keyboard, because now we have to pick the memory, the image of the keyboard, and have it in our memory. And that's how I'm able to navigate my way around the computer. Having been, like I said, I've been both sides of the divide. And I like the question you've asked, because some people will think that I will only teach people who are not sighted. It is actually, you realize a human being it has nothing to do with your senses, whether you are hearing impaired or you are visually impaired or physical. The inner person is what matters. Because I realize I'm still, the colleagues who were in high school together, in primary and wherever together, when they will see the white can panic a bit. But as we engage into conversation, they realize, no, it's the same old Lazarus that we've always known. So the way I help them is a matter of I'm able to get the concept, pass it over. Because I like one of the students I have right now is, she was green when she came in. And she was panicking. Oh, Malim, me, I've never touched a computer. How will you teach me? And I told her, yeah, you are the right person, the right student I like. And despite her knowing that I'm visually impaired, she's picking, and as we speak, I think she's somewhere reasonably good. She's able to switch on a computer. She can, type her things. Yeah, so helping them is a matter of, it's the inner me that is able then to deliver the logic over to anybody. Because even you can come to my class, I will be able to teach you a thing or two. Okay, my major challenges, I would say, is awareness. It's one of the biggest challenges, I would say. And the way I like try to cope with it is I like to talk, to share a lot, to make people empathize. We say, I didn't know the meaning of the word, the difference between sympathy and empathy, until I lost my sight. Because, sometimes the English will tell, empathy is deeper feelings, sympathy is just having feelings. But, it's not really it. Empathy is something like try and, like now I'm visually impaired. If you want to understand my world well, try and put on blindfolds. Or try and have a meal in a dark house. Switch off the lights and try to eat. Try to move in that dark room. You are now empathizing with me, because empathy means understanding my world and then putting up with me in that world. Because when you talk about even special needs education, it's a matter of we are special, we are like abled differently. So how are we to connect to our opportunities in our state? So that is now what empathy all means. So what I do with the challenge of awareness, I actually try to talk, to share my world to as many people as care to listen. Because like I said, even some of our colleagues here might not understand. some people in the public, they don't quite understand. So as far as I'm concerned, we need this thing to reach to the lower level of families, because I have actually seen very many people, even families, children's lives are wasted away. 10 or 15 years of a child are wasted because the parents were ignorant. So to me, I think one of the biggest challenges is awareness. And then you see, when people become more aware, including the government, they will actually put up infrastructure, they will put up opportunities, because I can actually even come to a place to look for a job, but I'm sure most ordinarily, if I appeared to your workplace, you might easily think this is a guy, it's a beggar. Most of the time I've gone to a shop to buy something, tools for my ICT career, and I'm going to buy, and you find the attendant at the shop there is coming to give me a 20 bob, telling me, hey, hakuna. So you're like, hakuna what? I had such encounters, and until I realized the guy is giving me a 20 bob. It's my guide who was trying to go past him, and the guy is insisting, hakuna. So a lot of us just look at us as blind persons, and they might just think that we are beggars. But I mean, when you sit and listen to like now we're talking, you realize there's a very different character behind the white cane. So awareness, when the society can become more aware, even if you got a child with a disability, don't actually kill that life, don't destroy the life. Preserve that life, promote that life to its own opportunity, because all of us, like I said, we are able differently, all of us have abilities. And for as long as you don't create impediments for us, we are able to do at least a thing or so. My achievements, I would say, just being able, because like when I came here for training, I found actually this place, they didn't have more or less a curriculum for adapted ICT. And as we speak even now, most places, they do not understand what is adapted ICT. So more or less, I should say I was able to stand it up, and right now it's on its feet. At least people, they are graduates, the people who've come through these, and they are making sense of their lives with the skill. Well, adapted ICT, in a nutshell, we talk about operating a computer using the keyboard alone, more or less. Even if you are not visually impaired, try and operate the computer just with the keyboard, without the use of a mouse. It will start to make sense to you, because now we, persons who are not sighted, we don't have use for the screen. The screen, comes in handy when I need the services of a sighted person to ask, maybe there's something I'm hearing my computer is saying below this line, what can you see there? That's when then the sighted person will look at the screen and say this. But essentially, persons who are visually impaired, we can operate a computer without the services of the monitor, because I don't need the monitor. I only need the keyboard and my sound. Once I'm there, and essentially that is what the core foundation of adapted ICT, so that we are using it in an adapted format, in the alternative way. Because when you look at your keyboard, letter F, J, they have grooves, and number 5 on the numpad, they have grooves. They actually have got a purpose. The people who manufactured the keyboard knew that you are supposed to do blind typing, so that you should not be looking on the keyboard. So when I position my hands on the keyboard, I'm just able to find my letters. So more or less, I was telling you that part of my achievement has been to stand that adapted ICT world, or at least curriculum here, and it's actually gaining some popularity. And not just popularity, it's being very useful, because this world of visual impairment, the people who are in it before, even going to college and above, they were having a very rough time trying to interact with information. And when somebody loses sight, part of the first thing that starts to push you down is lack of your ability to access information, interaction with information. And the moment you are not interacting with the information, it means you are on a downward trend. So more or less, to me, I would easily say that my achievement has been, my joy is to see that the adapted ICT at Kenya Institute for the Blind is active, and people are coming and making useful benefit of the same. Like I said, there are quite a number of graduates that have come here, and they are useful in the society. And that I also continue to want to also impact, because I also wish this awareness, people should talk to us more. I would want to talk to as many people, to as many families, because not just a thing of a person. Because like me, if I'm not well settled, the whole of my family will be in trouble. So if I wasn't working, if I didn't have the opportunity to, so you see, all those people who are my dependents, they need an opportunity for me of, like, say, employment to be intact. So more or less, my achievement is the awareness and the adapted ICT. To my loved ones, I would just say, just God bless you so much, because you've been such a reliable aid to my life. Because as I settled down to my wife, she stood by me. She had the option of, running away and having a valid excuse that, how can I live with a person who is blind, will sleep hungry. But she stood by me, and up to date, she really supports us. She does much more than, that I am absent. She helps the kids with homework, etc., while I take care of the fee and the bills, yeah. But essentially, I would just say, may we just grow to talk, let's interact. Sometimes, like I have kept saying and repeating, ignorance is the biggest problem we have with our society. So that may we be a people who listen more than we talk less. Even the people you see are quiet. It's just that you haven't given them a chance to speak. If you give audience to anybody, we all have a story to tell. And also, may people consult the right people, because some people consult the wrong people to make decisions. But otherwise, I would just say, may we learn to listen to people that communicate actual facts, and will make the society a better place for all of us.